Pierrot's mother rarely talked about his father anymore, although the boy still thought of him constantly. Wilhelm Fischer had lived with his wife and son until 3 years earlier, but left Paris in the summer of 1933, a few months after his son's 4th birthday. Pierrot remembered his father as a tall man who would mimic the sounds of a horse as he carried the boy on his broad shoulders through the streets, breaking into an occasional gallop that always made Pierrot scream with delight. He taught his son German to remind him of his ancestry, and did his best to help him learn simple songs on the piano, though Pierrot knew he would never be as accomplished as his father. Papa played folk songs that brought tears to the eyes of visitors, particularly when he sang along in that soft but powerful voice that spoke of memory and regret. If his musical skills were not great, Pierrot made up for this with his skill at languages. He could flit between speaking German to his father and French to his mother with no difficulty whatsoever. His party trick was singing La Marseillaise in German and then Das Deutschland-Lied in French, a skill that sometimes made dinner guests uncomfortable.
"I don't want you doing that anymore, Pierrot,"
Maman told him one evening after his performance had caused a mild disagreement with some neighbors.
"Learn something else if you want to show off. Juggling, magic tricks, standing on your head, anything that doesn't involve singing in German." "What's wrong with German?"
asked Pierrot. "Yes, Emily," said Papa from the armchair in the corner, where he had spent the evening drinking too much wine, something that always left him brooding over the bad experiences that haunted him. "What's wrong with German?"
"Haven't you had enough, Wilhelm?"
she asked, her hands pressed firmly to her hips as she turned to look at him. "Enough of what? Enough of your friends insulting my country?"
"They weren't insulting it," she said. "They just find it difficult to forget the war, that's all. Particularly those who lost loved ones in the trenches."
"And yet they don't mind coming into my home, eating my food and drinking my wine?" Papa waited until Maman had returned to the kitchen before summoning Pierrot over and placing an arm around his waist. "Someday we will take back what's ours," he said, looking the boy directly in the eye. "And when we do, remember whose side you're on. You may have been born in France and you may live in Paris, but you're German through and through, just like me. Don't forget that, Pierrot." Sometimes Papa woke in the middle of the night, his screams echoing through the dark and empty hallways of their apartment, and Pierrot's dog, D'Artagnan, would leap in fright from his basket, jump onto his bed, and scramble under the sheets next to his master, trembling. The boy would pull the blanket up to his chin, listening through the thin walls as Maman tried to calm Papa down, whispering in a low voice that he was fine, that he was at home with his family, that it had been nothing but a bad dream. "But it wasn't a dream," he heard his father say once, his voice trembling with distress. "It was worse than that. It was a memory." Occasionally, Pierrot would wake in need of a quick trip to the bathroom and find his father seated at the kitchen table, his head slumped on the wooden surface, muttering to himself as an empty bottle lay on its side next to him. Whenever this happened, the boy would run downstairs in his bare feet and throw the bottle in the courtyard bin so his mother wouldn't discover it the next morning. And usually, when he came back upstairs, Papa had roused himself and somehow found his way back to bed. Neither father nor son ever talked about any of these things the next day. Once, however, as Pierrot went outside on one of these late-night missions, he slipped on the wet staircase and tumbled to the floor. Not badly enough to hurt himself, but enough to smash the bottle he was holding. And as he stood up, a piece of glass embedded itself in the underside of his left foot. Grimacing, he pulled it out, but as it emerged, a thick stream of blood began to seep quickly through the torn skin. When he hobbled back into the apartment in search of a bandage, Papa woke and saw what he had been responsible for. After disinfecting the wound and ensuring that it was tightly wrapped, he sat the boy down and apologized for his drinking. Wiping away tears, he told Pierrot how much he loved him and promised that he would never do anything to put him in harm's way again.
"I love you too, Papa," said Pierrot. "But I love you most when you're carrying me on your shoulders and pretending to be a horse. I don't like it when you sit in the armchair and won't talk to me or Maman."
"I don't like those moments."